Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to the 10th and final race of Season 3 of Motorsport Manager, doing the Underdog Challenge. And I've actually already recorded this episode before. So here's the thing, I sat down today, very excited, to start Season 4 of Motorsport Manager, and I went to load up the feedback on episodes, well, really like episode 7 through 10, but especially episode 10, because I had a lot of questions about our inter-season strategy there. And I was very disappointed to find out that when I had uploaded episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10 of this series and got everything set up and scheduled and everything like that, at some point, YouTube decided to fail to process episode 9 and 10, so they never went live at the scheduled time, and that's very disappointing. Before recording this, I just made episode 9 live, and I decided to go ahead and record race 10 again, because I really wanted to play this game today. So I'm like, I'm just going to redo race 10. I'm going to make the same core decisions as before. We had pretty good outcome in race 10. Hopefully we do as well. But whether we do super well or not, it's not going to have a tremendous impact on a lot of things over here. So I'm just going to roll the dice and go with whatever comes up. But it's going to allow me to have a discussion about a few things. Specifically, Wednesday night, well, okay. I don't know when this is going to live, but 2 nights ago, I couldn't sleep. I was up all night, had just insomnia. It happens from time to time. So at about like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I just gave up, came downstairs, and I decided to decompile Motorsport Manager and finally get some answers about certain things about how this game runs, because there's a lot of inconsistencies, which tends to get people in the comments mad, because there's like a thing that goes on, they're like, but in the tooltip, it says, yeah, the tooltip is wrong. This happens a lot. There's tons of text in this game that is simply wrong or misleading, or at the very least doesn't have the details that we actually need to know how something works. This happens all the time in this game. Also, speaking of people getting like super cranky, there's a couple people, one in particular, who gets super and getting angry and angry every episode that we're not using the auto manage option on the pit crew. To those people, and that person in particular, I highly recommend you use your eyes and ears when you're consuming these videos, because we've talked about this button a million times. We've tried this button. This button is the worst goddamn thing you can do in this game. Never, ever, 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 ever touch this button. You know how like I complain that like the remove fatigue crew, which like cycles our pit crew over here, sometimes it doesn't do the smartest decision. Well, auto manage option is that on crack. It's worse than using the remove fatigue crew. Even if you don't go and do some tweaks, and it doesn't properly hire crew, and it doesn't properly renew contracts, and. If you use the auto manage option over here, you're just going to lose. So stop getting angry about this. Holy crap, what's wrong with you? You gotta settle down, man. Two things that in the first recording of this, I spent a lot of time talking about after the race. I'm going to talk about it now so you guys can kind of keep it in your head as we go forward. Martin here is nearing the end of this contract, and I was like, hey, what do we want to do with this guy? Do we want to keep him on? Do we want to replace him? Yeah, his form's been pretty good lately. His marketability is pretty low, and it's only 29% because of Fashionista. I'm still hoping that this goes up as people do well in races. I don't know if this is locked in yet. I feel like it has gone up at races. But I might be imagining it. I might just getting thrown off because of things like Fashionista or whatever. At the end of video 10, I did go through a lot of our scouting jobs over here and discuss potential alternatives to Martin, just because his contract is coming up. Not because I don't like Martin, but we should have a discussion about it. And, like a possibility could be Enrica Lara over here, who's actually got really good stats and is a pay driver. However, I believe if you go and approach this driver, I think the minimum amount of cash I can offer her per race is at least double what the pay driver is here, and I don't think she'd accept that. I think she'd be looking at like 600,000-700,000 or something per race. So it means we'd be paying about $500,000 per race, which is more expensive than Martin here, because we're paying him $400,000 per race. So I believe that despite being a pay driver, Enrico would actually cost us more per race, while also having a lower marketability. And despite being a wonder kid, I mean, her max potential is not really that different. She's pretty good as is. But I kind of think we might keep Maritzen here. I mean, his potential's about the same. I think her stats are a little bit better, but his stats are basically still there. If we could get a few more of these traits that are permanent over here, that would be really helpful. So I don't know. So I think we're going to keep him. The other question was the designer, Vasily over here. Some people argue that these stats are really not that important because I I think they get added as a fixed extra rating and or potential to each part they design with this, which, you know, yeah, an extra 17 points in your engine is great, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker compared to the known components. Now, I'm not particularly impressed with these known components. This only works on wets and inters. This works on soft supers and ultras, which is nice, and plus 50 performance is great, but the minus 25% reliability is kind of oof, right? Because that means if we brought something to 100, you'd be going into the race with that reliability at 75, and 75 does not make me comfortable at all, despite the performance gains. I really do think this part is quite spiffy, and we've done great things with it. So my question is, which of these types of components are strong and we'd be interested in looking for? What's the gameplay optimization with these components if we go shopping for someone? So I'm not going to replace them right now. We're going to do today's race. These guys, him and Mauritson, are still going to be fine. But the question is, are we going to be looking for a replacement for these two in between seasons? If so, what do you think we should look for? So let me know about that. Saving up money, we're about halfway to our new factory building. We're going to give it a big chunk of change between seasons, so we're definitely going to be able to start this, which will help us with improving our parts and is going to be lovely. I think that's everything I want to talk about here before we go into the race. And this race might actually be a little sort of longer and slower than usual because we're going to be doing a lot of talking about what I discovered by decompiling this game and trying to figure out how it gets played. Now, we here have an option to leave the owlbear behind. What I did, and what I'm going to do again because I want to copy it, is as an experiment, I was like, this dodgy neck thing goes away in the day. Now, in a normal F1 race, you have you have a practice day, a qualifying day, and a race day. So, is this dodgy neck going to go away by the time we do the race day in this game? It should. Spoiler alert, it does not. So when you're on the race day, it doesn't actually advance the calendar, I guess, so it doesn't progress this. So if we bring the owlbear, she will still have the dodgy neck on race day. Now, I don't think this is like Football Manager where you're going to be aggravating injury or anything like that. I'm going to bring Owlbear because I brought her last time as an experiment, and I'm going to try to duplicate as many things as possible just for consistency over here. So I'm going to bring her again, even though it means she is going to be racing with this dodgy neck. Let's talk about this race. So it's going to be clear both days. 17 degrees on practice, only 7 degrees on race day. Quite a bit cooler, and we're going to want to keep that into consideration for our tire strategy, because I've learned a few things there. The other thing to note here is that the tire wear is very high. The fuel burn on this track is very low. Tire wear being very high is going to be very important to us. It is a 26 lap race, and the amount of fuel it gives you is what, about 45%? So 26 times 0.45 is 11.7. I suspect that means, I think it'll round it down, I think that means our fuel tank will be good enough for 11 laps when filled up, which is going to be important for a decision about tires. In terms of sponsors here, yeah, we did have a 4th place finish in Milan, but it's pretty unlikely that we're going to hit that, so we're going to go ahead and take the 12th and above, which certainly seems like a safer pick. The parts, Mauritson is currently equipped with all the best parts because it was him and our reserve driver last time. I'm going to do the same thing because Amina is injured. We're going to put all our best parts on Mauritson. Halber did have the much better form earlier in the season, but since then Mauritson has definitely done quite a lot better, and he seems to be improving a lot better too, which is kind of nice and spiffy do. All right, race day. Let's go in here. So tires, because this is the big thing. Tires. What's their deal? Is it better to go a softer tire but run, more conservatively? Is it better to go a harder tire and run more aggressively? Tire performance, is it flat the same all the way through? We do know about the cliff behavior, right? So when you get to a certain percentage of condition, you hit this sort of cliff with the tire performance, or you just fall off a cliff and the tires perform much, much worse. How much worse? What do we know? Okay, so if it's an ultra soft tire, first of all, the cliff's at 20%. Super softs are at 15, softs at 10, mediums at 5, and hards have no cliff. It's 0%. But of course, if your tires hit 0%, they pop or whatever, and that's going to be it for your race. Hitting the cliff incurs a penalty per track of 8 seconds. Your car's going to be going 8 seconds slower when you hit that 20% or whatever the percentage cliff is. Except it's not a net 8 seconds slower. Because as it turns out, and while this is not explained anywhere in game as far as I know, tires have different performance bands. So let's go and take a look at what tires are available at this race. At every race, you get, well, because we passed the route, we get 3 compounds. I think in the start of the ERS, you only start with 2, but each racetrack is still programmed to have 3 compounds available. There's going to be the fastest, the middle, and the slowest. Now, at each racetrack, which one of these is the fastest will change, i.e. this racetrack gives us soft, mediums, hard, some give us super softs, softs, mediums, and some can give us ultra softs, super softs, and then softs over here, for example. Now, while the specific name of the compound matters for their cliff, right? Like the tire called soft always has a cliff drop off at 10%. Whether it's in the middle or wherever it is, it's always the same. However, everything else about how a tire performs has nothing to do with its actual name, with its true compound. Instead, everything else about how a tire performs comes down to whether it's the fastest, middle, or slowest for this track. That's where all the game mechanics come in for the tires, period. And tires do have these various performance bands. So, the fastest tire that you will bring, and I'm using this for medium-length races, okay? I'm playing on medium-length races. The numbers are going to be slightly different if you're on a short or long race format, but medium is the default. So the fastest tire, again, regardless of what it's called, will perform 4 laps where it will perform perfectly with 0 speed penalty, okay? You will be operating as fast as you possibly can for 4 laps. Then, for 4 laps, your tires will incur a 1 second per lap speed penalty. They will be 1 second per lap slower for 4 laps. And then for the next 3, they'll be 5 seconds per lap slower. And then that brings you to 0%. So basically, for the fastest tires, there are just certain percentages that you can look at for condition. Let me go. Sorry, I made a spreadsheet to help me keep track of this. I'm just resetting some numbers here. So basically, all things being equal, your fastest tires, until they hit 64% condition, will have no penalty. And then from 64% to 27%, they'll have a 1 second penalty. And then from 27% until their cliff wall, they will have a 5 second per lap penalty. And then once they hit the cliff wall, they'll have an 8 second per lap penalty. So hitting the cliff wall is an 8 second per lap penalty, but if you were on the fastest tires, it's really only an extra 3 seconds per lap. Very meaningful, don't get me wrong, but the bigger question sort of becomes, okay, these invisible tire bands that are not explained at all in this game have all of a sudden become critically important. If we go all the way to the hardest or slowest compound on the racetrack, again, regardless of what the name of the tire is, the name of the tire only affects the cliffs. The hardest one is kind of interesting because you have 5 laps with a 2 second penalty. So right away, the hardest tires are 2 seconds slower than the softest tires. Once you get into the medium band, the hardest tires will have 10 laps at 2.5 penalty. And what's interesting is the lowest band for the hardest tires is a 5 second per lap penalty. Or I'm wrong. Is a 3 second per lap penalty. It's 5 laps at 3 seconds, which means when you are at the bottom end of wear on your hardest tires, you're actually faster than the bottom end of wear of the softest tires. Softest tires, you really want to get off of them when you hit that final band, because 5 seconds per lap is insanely stupid. So the softs are really, their performance is much less than the number of estimated laps over here. By the way, the high number here is basically how long you're expected on normal, if you set everything like normal driving style, the high number is how long the tires are expected before being hitting about 0. Give and take some little rounding things and various other mechanics that come into play. But basically, that's what it is. The lower number is more or less, you can kind of think about it as the expected number to hit that lowest performance band. But again, it can be a little fuzzy with some other things that you're doing. Anyway, so this all of a sudden becomes incredibly interesting. Now, it is still true that the fastest thing you can do still is run the softest possible tires. Crunching the numbers and confirming with experiments, because I was wondering, like, okay, if we're running softs on neutral driving style versus say mediums on a push or attack driving style, which one is better? And the math mostly supports just run the softest tire you can, and then run it as aggressively as you can without the temperature going too high. or managing your pit stops, right? Obviously, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you have to do a third pit stop, but assuming that you are timing things out, that you're still only going to do two pit stops, the correct answer is run the softest tire you can, and then as aggressive you can get away with from then on. That'll be the best speed. So that is really, really, really useful information. And there are some edge cases where going harder is going to be better than the softer. And it has to do specifically with you need to know exactly how many laps you want to run. So mostly it comes down to that second pit stop, where you know exactly how many laps you have to do with these tires, because they have to last you until the end of the game. Then you can do a little bit of number crunching. Now, there are 3 factors that affect the duration of your tire. And what's interesting is they all affect only the medium performance band. So no matter what, on the soft tires, you get 4 laps at best performance. Now, if you're on a more aggressive driving style, you are burning through those laps faster than normal. So you won't, if you're driving on push or attack, you won't get 4 laps at the best performance, because you're burning through your laps faster than you would normally expect. So it's that 4 laps isn't a fixed number. That's just how the condition is calculated internally. But it is 4, if you're on neutral. The medium, though, is the thing that changes. So your middle band on your softest tires normally lasts 4 laps. However, smoothness, your car's sort of chassis stuff, right when you set up at the start of the season, you've got a few things that can affect tire wear speed, as well as the track. So this has got high tire wear track, directly adds or decreases the number of medium band laps you're going to have by 1 each. So with the racetrack, this says it has high tire wear. That means it should reduce the medium range on these slicks by 1 lap. That changes things a lot. So you still have as many fasts, but you don't have the medium as much. So your overall tire condition is going to drop a lot faster, but specifically it's going to take it away from medium. So you're going to spend a little bit more time, maybe in the worst situation / best or whatever. So the worst will come a lot faster is I guess what it comes down to. So that's pretty rough. The other thing, smoothness of your driver. The way it works, and actually as it turns out, many of the mechanics in this game work exactly like this. Your smoothness isn't used directly. Instead, what apparently happens is it looks at all the drivers in this race and splits them to 3 groups. So the best third smoothness, the worst third smoothness, and then the third that's in the middle. The best smoothness, all the drivers that are in the top third of smoothness get +1 medium lap added to their tire. The bottom third get -1 medium lap. The same thing happens with the chassis stats. So all the cars are compared and they're divided into 3 groups. The top group gets an extra lap, the bottom group loses a lap. So where are we on all this? Well, it's hard to know. I mean, we can we can double check every other driver in the ERS and then figure out maybe where we are. But on a race day, the form factor changes pretty consistently. Someone with high smoothness might be on lower form, which just reduces all their stats basically at that time. So it's a little bit hard to predict, and the chassis, it's really hard to get fixed numbers in there. You can make certain assumptions. For example, theoretically, these softs here should last 11 laps. That's their base numbers. It says 9, so I have to assume we're probably losing 2 laps from something over there. And it's the same, whether we're losing 2 from, we're probably losing 1 from the circuit, and let's assume we're losing 1 from that chassis. But maybe we're in the middle group with smoothness, which kind of makes sense with a rating of 12. That kind of makes sense. So if we're losing 2, that brings us to 9, which sort of looks correct over there. Again, on my spreadsheets, I may have some math fails, or some other place in the code might tweak something in a way that I hadn't spotted, but generally speaking, we've got that. So now, anyway, it means we can make much smarter decision about our tire situation. Although, again, ideally, you're going to want to run on the softest tires all the time. So it probably is worth practicing on the softs, especially since the race day, so training day here is 17 degrees. Race day is going to be 7 degrees. It's going to be quite cold, and so it can be hard to keep the other compounds up to temperature. I think we should assume we're going to do 2 stints on softs. Now, in practice, so 7 to 9 laps, again, especially with that drop-off, we probably want to plan on having the softs on for 2 stints, but as low as possible. And I'd say targeting about 7 laps is probably fairly smart. So that's 14 laps out of a 26-lap race, wasn't it? So that means we need 12 other laps of performance. We could do it on just mediums. Obviously, we'll be dipping into that lower band, which might be okay. But let's say, okay, so I need, sorry, I'm wrong, because no, 14, so I needed 12, right? So I'm going to say, hey, I need to do 12 laps, and on my spreadsheet, which after I do a few more tests I will share, the softest compound is soft, so we've got that set up. That's great. On 12 laps, I can expect, so I clearly can't do 12 laps on softs because they would actually not last long enough. If I did this on medium, my average delay per lap is going to work out to 3.56 seconds of delay per lap on medium, assuming the math is correct, and on hards we'd be at 3.79. So about the same. Whether we use the mediums or the hards is about the same, assuming I'm doing a neutral driving style. If let me check. If I went up to push, then what starts to look like the best? Well, if I go push, I can't really use the mediums because it's predicted I would end at 1%. I would definitely hit that cliff, although with medium tires, it's only 5%, so it's only that. But it's so tight that it seems unlikely. And actually, if I'm pushing on hards, my lap delay should be about 3.13, which is better than the 3.56 of the mediums on neutral. So I think our plan is going to be one stint on hards. Oh, wait, hold on. I only have 11 laps of petrol in my car. So that's actually not possible. I don't think we can do the double soft. Oh, damn. I mean, unless we baby the tires and run them on conserve, which might be possible. I think it's much more likely that we might just triple medium on this track. If we could, if we do hardcore fuel conservation, theoretically we could do a single pit stop. If we literally just run our engine and blew the entire race. But that wouldn't be faster. God damn. Yeah, if this is correct, I mean, and assuming we look at this, even without the spreadsheet, if we just assume 7 laps per softs, 14, yeah. In the mediums, and I don't think we've got the fuel, so we'd have to do a bunch of conserve stuff. Now, maybe we do run conserve on the softs for a little bit. Like, we don't run red at all. That doesn't feel good, does it? I think we're going to end up running on mediums. I don't remember what I did last time, actually. It's like 2 mediums and a soft. It would give us an insanely good run at the softs because we get to use their proper tire position the most. Probably can just run mediums on push. I think that's very likely. We could probably run mediums on push almost the entire race. The first stint, since the first few laps we tend to do in reds, we might not. But it's that. But I'm going to assume 2 stints on mediums, and therefore I want the 15% boost on that. Although, again, the softs are still better. So if we're comparing, like for that final stint, right? Do we do softs with 0% boost or mediums with a 15% boost? Well, the softs will be better, assuming that the stint isn't too long. So yeah, we'll run them both on medium. That's going to be okay. I think I loaded the setup here because I talked about how this is not very good, right? No, did I? I don't remember. So setups. So I'm loading a setup over here. No, I don't think I did talk about it. Loading these setups, because what I did after I set up my spreadsheet is I did a bunch of test runs to make sure my numbers were, vaguely correct, in terms of how it works in the game. And it is. But here's the thing. So both those setups, I think, were both saved at 96%. When we bring this in here, you might see anywhere from 100% to 81%. Same day, same weather, same drivers, same cars, same everything. These setups don't really work any better than just grabbing some stuff over here. Hell, sometimes I've loaded them in and they're outside the green range. Like, wait, what? I mean, I guess there's a little RNG with some of the weather and something else that goes on when you go in there, but it is getting mixed up. Now, here's the interesting thing about this setup. I'm going to play this minigame because I really like this minigame. It's not very meaningful, as it turns out. So we're going to get a performance rating here. You can just go, yeah, the 3 is fine, and go, that's going to be okay. So we're going to get a number from 0% to 100% about how well our setup is, how good our setup is. As it turns out, the maximum difference between 100% setup and 0% setup is a 1 second per lap penalty. Now, obviously, that's important. We can't go around being 1 second per lap slower on every lap just because we didn't bother with some buttons. But it means, say, going from 93% to 96%, not really worth stressing out hardcore about, assuming that is accurate. Now, I didn't actually do any testing to confirm the, I didn't try to like set up 100% and then find a 0% somewhere because it could be a little bit fiddly. And there's so many variables, even on these practice laps, that a difference, from your setup of, a tenth of a second or something like that is going to disappear in all the other noise that happens. So it's not really something that you can test for. But as far as I can tell from the code, that is it. So there you go. So this was a 96% setup, and we got 93% on this time. Because reasons. I don't know. Let's take the downforce slightly. Oh, and by the way, yeah, so as far as we can tell, so theoretically the front wing angle here should have the most impact on low-speed corners. The rear wing angle should have the highest impact on high-speed corners. Certainly that's the discussion and things like that. As far as I can tell, that doesn't actually do anything. The only thing that matters is at the end of the race you get a percentage number, and that's the number that gets used for things, as far as we can tell. So I'm going to go, I'll add a tiny bit of downforce to tweak this. There's still a bit of a difference between these two in that the front wing angle tends to affect the handling a little bit more, and the rear wing tends to affect the speed balance a little more. So if you're trying to do just tiny little adjustments somewhere, that might be the easiest way to do it. There we go. We'll do this, so it's going to offset that slightly. That's going to be okay. We'll probably bring you in again, Martin. Owlbear's in. So again, this is, I think, a 96% quality save, and we got 92% on this one. Because sure, why not? Let's bring down the downforce slightly, somewhere around, say, there. Handling will, you know what? I think I'll actually stiffen this handling. If it goes bad, then we know the right direction we're going to go in, and then I won't mess with the speed balance. There we go. So let's go in over here. Chuka, chuka, chuka. Bring in. Perform 7.1, despite her dodgy neck. And I don't know the effect of fitness specifically. Okay. Triple grates. 95%. So what I'll do is I'll make another slight tweak here. We'll go slightly more with the downforce, just like the tiniest little tweak. There's something, even like that's probably more than likely. There, I don't know, something like that. We can do a tiny twitch if we just tweak some of the tire pressures. Maybe we'll do this just to change the range a little bit. But I'm going to be happy with even the 95, since apparently it doesn't make much of a difference. But we'll see. Maybe we can squeeze out another 1%. If we don't, who cares? So we'll just have you stay out for the rest of the practice and accumulate some knowledge for us. Triple excellent over here. Well, that's excellent. So 99%. I could save this, but again, there's no reason to think that this will be 99% the next time we load this. Frustrating, a little silly maybe, but also realistic and I guess makes sense. Sure, why not? So you're obviously going to be okay. We'll go ahead and give you the 9 laps. And you can stay out for the rest of the race as well. Now, we can look at the temperatures over here. So, one of the things that I found in the data file is, and the thing is, this would be stats that you would get in real life from, the tire manufacturers and whatever. Temperature ranges for tires. So each tire has a temperature range that is the sort of neutral point for them. And it's all a 1 degree range. So for example, for mediums, it says 22 to 23 degrees. Now, I don't think this is the actual air temperature. I think this is trying to figure out the asphalt temperature. So the asphalt can be a lot hotter when it is sunny, for example. I know the sun definitely impacts how quickly rain burns off, but I think it also impacts the temperature. So if we're on neutral, on mediums, if the temperature is from 22 to 23 degrees, they should stay about consistent. And that's kind of what the situation is feeling like here. Now, tomorrow when it's 7 degrees, these are going to definitely lose some temp, but probably we're going to do push. We'll probably do mediums, more or less sitting on push. We'll have to work a little bit to manage the temperature, but I think it's going to be okay. Oh, and the other thing is, engine modes, what I'm definitely going to do is I'm basically going to spend as much of the race on the high engine mode as my engine can take from now on. We found out some stats. Oh, right, because one of the questions I had is it worth putting an extra lap or two of fuel in your car's tank? Because fuel does slow you down. First of all, it's an extra 0.7 seconds per in the pit per lap of fuel that you're throwing in, and each lap worth of fuel that you're carrying in your car slows your car down by 0.15 seconds. So if we say put in 1 extra lap of fuel, then we're going to take a 0.7 second hit in the pit stop, and then a 0.15 second hit every lap from that point forward with that tank, because we're, that extra, lap of fuel is going to be sort of the last one we burn. So it's going to be an extra 1.5 per lap slower every single time. The racing modes. Okay, what we did know early on about the wear, right? That going to the what is it called? The push racing mode, whatever. The +1 higher racing mode. What are they actually called? I don't remember. For the tires, it's push and attack. For the engines, it's high and then overtake. That's right. That's what it is. And then you can actually unlock super overtake as well. The way it works is there is a 3-second per lap difference from super overtake down to conserve or whatever. You know, the I'm running my engine slower mode. So from the top to the bottom, it's a 3-second difference. If you're in super overtake mode, there's a 0-second per lap penalty. If you're in the slowest mode, it's a 3-second per lap penalty, and then everything else is sort of in between. Weirdly, because of the way that it's distributed, on neutral, you're effectively gaining, you know, you have a per lap penalty in there, but it doesn't hurt your engine the same way. Anyway, it's all sort of a moot point, but there's sort of a distribution that way. And so with that information in our pocket, we can start to make more and more and more interesting decisions. As it turns out, going from neutral to high engine mode should gain us more time per lap than hauling the extra fuel around. So the answer is yes, it's worth taking slightly longer in the pits and having a slightly slower lap time by carrying extra fuel in exchange for running in a higher engine mode, assuming your condition can take it. So we are going to be trying to put that into use, basically being as aggressive with the engine as our reliability can manage it. And we'll see how that works. So yeah, we're going to do the medium thing. We're going to do this as well. Now, it is interesting. If we're running medium tires, we could have them wear more slowly. This is one of those things, is how much more slowly is it? I think it's actually fairly substantial. I did see this in the code, but I don't remember the number. I think it actually would move us ahead. So I think it's worth sacrificing one of these 15% for that. And so we may as well sacrifice the medium tire 15%, because the race trim will just work the entire time. So we'll do this. We know we're going to do at least 2 stints on there. It might mean that Marston can be out longer, which is a little funky because I'd probably want to race him more aggressively because he's up front, but maybe this will help just balance that out. We could defuel one of the cars a little bit more. I think what's going to happen, though, is we're just going to run Jesper more aggressively for longer, so that he pits in sooner, despite the fact that they're starting with exactly the same setup and the fuel. That's going to be the plan. And Amina, the owlbear, is going to push a little bit less aggressively from the back so that she gets delayed by 1 lap, basically, for her refueling and tire needs, which should be fairly okay. How did we get over here? We did get the 97% for Marston. Excellent, we'll do that. Oh, they're starting both on softs. We could and may want to have Marston actually do his first stint on softs, because I think we are going to do 1 on softs, right? Yes. Yeah, 2 mediums and 1 soft. I think we'll do that, and we'll bring him in that much sooner. So he's not going to get to take advantage of his increased durability, but he wouldn't have gotten to take advantage of his 15% medium tire knowledge either. So we'll do that. We are going to keep him with full tank of fuel because we're going to run his engine really aggressively. And with Amina, what we'll do... So we might do something like 3 laps on overtake, and then go to high, and then take a look at what's going on there. And with the owlbear, maybe we'll do 1 or 2 laps on overtake, then a few laps on high, and then bring it down to a neutral, and just try to balance it out so that she ends up with 1 more lap worth of fuel in her tank. That is going to be the strategy there, but they are going to start on the double reds all over the place, like that. So yeah. On overtake mode, I don't remember. I think we might be... I think it's like a 0.6 or maybe 0.8 per lap penalty versus the 0 super overtake, but that's a lot better than the others. So, I mean, it's net... it's saving... I don't know. I can't remember. Like, it's like minus 1.2 seconds from medium or something, if you want to look at it that way. But the way that it's implemented in-game is the fastest one gives you 0, everything else gives you some amount of time penalty in comparison. But yeah, so we're going to do this, and we're going to see how this knowledge might start to feel once we're in here. So we'll start on double reds. Really curious about Martin. Hopefully he gets a good start off the grid. Lights are out. There we go. Ooh, not very good, but he did actually hold up. The person behind him had a better start, and he held up a little bit there. And he's going to pass into third and into second with Martin over here. Beautiful stuff on the softs. Of course, everyone up front, oh my god, in first place. Let's say everyone's on soft early on, but ooh, interesting. They're not in the most aggressive driving mode over here right now. The temperature is definitely going to be a thing that we're going to deal with, although it's okay now. The way the AI works with its tires, every X amount of time that passes in game, it does a check on how it feels its tires are doing. And I think what it basically does is if the tire temperature is above 50%, it pulls it back a notch. Otherwise, it does some calculations on expected amount of tire duration that it's got and things like that. And also, if it's trying to do an overtake actively, then it goes up one notch. That's sort of what you'll see over there, which, I mean, sort of maps to kind of sort of how we play. So I don't think there's anything crazy there. Owlbear did drop down. I mean, she does still have that dodgy neck, which is unfortunate. What I might do... no, let's do one more on the overtake. There's still a lot of fighting going on here. Oh my gosh, she's completely boxed in. Completely boxed in. I mean, partially with the overtake is defending her position. Tire temp's okay. We got to really watch out for the yellow over here. But again, it's a cooler day, right? 7 degrees, so the tires are much less likely to overheat. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull you back to high for now and push on these tires. The push might not change. It's mostly the fuel per lap that we're going to start keeping an eye on. Yeah, you're just completely boxed in the whole time. Meanwhile, Maritson, huge lead. We are going to pull back because maybe... Wow. Remember our tires here? When we hit... with our calculations, it's going to be about 56%. Assuming everything is right, when we're 56% on the tire, that's when we are going to be out of the fastest band for the softs. And then we can ride the medium band until about 33%. So remember, the driver will bitch at 30%. His tire condition indicator will go red at 25%. Those things have nothing to do at all with the actual tire performance, which we already knew. But it turns out the cliff's not the only thing. Okay, I'm going to pull back on the tires a little bit because the softs are getting a little too hot. And I did confirm, as far as I can tell, there's absolutely no difference whatsoever anywhere along this temperature band. The only thing that matters is if you max it out or hit the bottom, it dramatically increases tire wear. It does not seem to hurt performance, but the tire wear goes crazy. So if you're not worried about, and although wearing out your tires will worsen their performance because in these performance bands and the cliffs, but it does give you a little bit more flexibility. I think maybe I will go back to overtake mode here because we have a lot more fuel than this. Although again, it's not so bad because we'll just, don't have to spend so much time refueling, but maybe I will do that. Engine condition's still okay, so that's all right. And yeah, we'll try to sync things up a little bit. I'm going to go to neutral with the tires. We're going to take a check here and see when we might be able to swap out. So we are in the medium band now, so we are getting 1 second per lap penalty compared to what was before. But these guys are also going to be hitting that medium band as well. And they're probably not running the same engine mode. Indeed, they are not. Indeed, they are not. So there we go. We're closing in on about 1 lap of fuel less than Owlbear. And let's do... So the pit lane there, I think we are going to go to high. I think that's going to work out kind of beautifully. I'll do an actual count when we pass the pit entrance again. Although, again, with the tires... 33% the tire goes kind of bad. Maybe I'll conserve this tire a little bit. Just try to stretch it a little bit more. I think we are pitting next lap regardless, though. You know what? Yeah. So we're still we should still be in the medium band. See, my personal pace did get worse. I mean, that's expected from, like, a few things that we're doing. Okay, there's the pit entrance. They are closing a little bit, but not too much. I think, you know what? I think we're going to do 2 more. I think that's going to be fine. We are going to go into lower band with a 5-second delay. How many more laps? We're still got... Yeah, no. We are going to do 2 more. I think neutral is going to be fine. See, oh, he's actually complaining. Oh, you know, hold on. Maybe he is complaining at the entrance of the lowest band. Okay. So the red highlight still happens at 25, but maybe he does complain when he enters the lowest band of tires. That actually is kind of interesting. And yeah, it's not great, but I want to push a little bit more because our medium tires, we have about 9 good laps in. And here we would be needing 2 stints on 10 each. Although their lower performance isn't as bad as low performance here. Screw it, let's win. We'll switch to mediums. We will give you a full fueling. That's going to be okay. You're okay. You're okay. Risk is pretty high. In the early builds of this game, by the way, it was apparently the strongest thing to do was to go fast, because so you're saving 3 seconds, and the mistake chance wasn't that punishing, but they did go and increase the mistake penalty that happens to be quite high, and so I think it's not worth going to fast here. Yeah. Temperature is going up on the mediums on orange here. Let me run you on high. High and push for now. It's going to be okay. So we did drop back, but hopefully what we can do is undercut the... well, but there's no undercutting. We were ahead. Hopefully we'll still maintain this. Hopefully this was a correct decision. I guess I should actually bring you down to neutral. I'm a little worried about the temperature being okay. 10 laps. Maybe we'll do a double yellow here, because we actually really need to milk this stint as long as possible. So you're going to be coming in at 31%. We might hear from her complaining. But clearly, yeah, we'll probably do 2 more laps like this, which will bring us to a total of 10 on the mediums, which is kind of our goal. It'll work out well with the fuel. And we're not going to hit the wall. Yeah, we'll keep it on orange here. Like, we're about to hit the lowest band, but we're not going to hit the wall. We'll just keep it on medium, and that's going to be all right. So we'll see how that early pit worked for us or didn't. I don't know. Pace -19. Oh, is this compared to the person in front of us? Not compared to us, clearly. Must be that. So we're 2 seconds faster than the person ahead of us. Yep, fresh tires soon enough. Yeah, so I think with the mediums we can run somewhat on the orange and somewhat on the yellow, but basically I'm just going to make sure the temperature doesn't get too low here. I think we're going to be pleased with that. So you are going to pit on the next lap. Yes, you are. You're going to go and throw on another pair of mediums. You'll do a full fill-up. That's going to be okay. And go. And you'll come out... I might switch you to double yellows in a second. So it would be very nice to pass this person. Let's give you a boost now. We do have to go and conserve, so we're not going to run on this constantly, because I don't think we can quite manage it. Although we'll have a very aggressive final stint. Don't go around the outside. Come on, get past this person. What are you doing? I'll have you come out on the yellows here. Come on, Martin. Get in there. Activate your DRS. Wait, we don't have that enabled. Get in there! 13, what are you defending with? Alright, red, blue. I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna... Oh my god, you got passed on that. I'm giving you everything I can. Oh, now they're pulling ahead. Okay. Let's just have you drop back here because we spent too much. We're advancing until pits are happening. So we're about to go through a fairly long curvy bit. We're not right behind. Okay, let's try again. There you go. There you go. Good pass, good pass, good pass. Alright, bring it down. A bunch of people started on the hards. I gotta say, yeah, the tire wear on this track is crazy. Crazy. Let's have you fight back a little bit here. Come out of the corner with more speed. Can you retake it? Corner coming up here. Maybe, yes, no. Alright, yeah, I've got to conserve. I think. Let's, when we get past the pit opening, the pit entrance, we'll go and take a look-see at what things are like. Owlbear, are you right behind people? You are fighting. Let's go ahead and give you a little something. As you continue down this curvy section, you might be able to do a few more things. Let's come back to you in a second. And the pit entrance is just coming up over here, right? Oh, no. No, I didn't miss it. Okay. How you doing, Owlbear? You still fighting? Still fighting. I'll give you all the juice you can take. Not for too long. Alright, pit entrance. Okay, well, I can definitely run on high over here, because that'll work out beautifully. We'll use about 5.5, like, you know, because it's an extra 0.1. So that'll go there. Actually, on medium, we might use slightly less than 1 lap per fuel, which is kind of interesting and might explain a few things that we have seen. I think I still need to worry about our tire wear situation here. I'm not sure I can push this a bit more, but we can run you on orange because that's just going to work out fine statistically. Here, over here, we can keep you on high for the rest of it, and that's going to work out mostly okay. A little bit on yellow at some point. I was hoping to get you to overtake. You might still be able to. I'll leave you on push for the tires, and you will see. Can't get past Engelhart. He's right there. I'm going to go push on the tires, but I don't want to go any higher with the engine mode because I think we're well set up with our fuel burn rate over here. So let's see what we can do. Fuel burn rate is affected by the track as well, but I find that fuel management's a little easier and more straightforward than the tires. Mostly because there's no bands, there's no cliff. Nick Chu's just crashed. Okay. I don't know how many crashes he's had. I don't know if that's a stat you can check for your various drivers. Alright, so I'm still behind Engelhart, who's 3 seconds ahead. We are fighting to defend against Sabato here. He's right behind. Or, sorry, this is gap from the leader. That's not intervals. Is there a way to get intervals? So, no. So, he's only 1.3 seconds ahead of us. But the guy behind us is 0.2 seconds behind us. Still, I don't think I can push any more than this. Our tires are lasting pretty good, actually. Because they still have over 50% left. Keep in mind that with the middles here, the mediums, the low band starts at 31%. But the penalty is not so bad. It's only 3.5 second delay per lap. It's still 1.5 seconds slower than the medium band, but it's not as bad as the softs going all the way down. Put a little attack in there to try to improve our lap time slightly to get a little bit of distance from fifth, who's running double yellow. Just a little bit of space, and then let me pull back down here again. Okay, you're managing at fourth, okay. Owlbear, I mean, with her dodgy neck, in 15th. I mean, she's only, well, she's about 2 seconds behind. A bit of an overtake over there, which is interesting. Everyone's currently on mediums. I think, okay, so the fact that some people went hards, I think we are correctly sort of nursing our tires. If we can do 2 stints on mediums and the 1 stint on softs, that is actually going to feel pretty good. It is a possibility, of course, that Martin, I forgot he's got the reduced tire wear, too. That explains some of what we're seeing. You can be a little bit more aggressive than with this I was giving you credit for, because actually that's going to work out kind of nicely. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, right, yeah. So, the tire compounds. So, Owlbear still potentially, assuming we time this out well, still potentially has a stint on softs coming up, and that might allow her to advance a lot. We're going to try to probably nurse these, you know, a little more. Again, that lowest band on mediums is good. We want to avoid falling into the lowest band on softs if we can. Like, we want to run on softs for as long as we can, but that lowest band at 5 seconds is worse than what you're getting on the mediums. So, what we really want to do is time it so that we have 7, ideally 6 laps available to us on softs. That would really let us maximize what we can do there and hopefully do overtaking. So you are going to be pitting, and you are going to have to do another medium because you have 10 laps there. We are going to fill you up to the 11, no rounding bonus, unfortunately, this time. We are going to fill up to the 11 so we can run you on the higher engine mode. In fact, this will math out that we can just run on high for 10 laps, which should use about 11 laps worth of fuel, which sounds pretty good to me. Let me bring you down to yellow here because I think we were a little tight on some things, and that's going to maybe help out a little. Hit exit, you're good on fuel. I think that's still working out all right. Tires seem okay-ish as well. We may have to do a little conserve. Actually, I'm going to bring you down to yellow on the tires here because you still have well, about 3 laps left to do, and pushing into the next tire band probably isn't going to win us as much as we were hoping. Although a nice overtake there by the Owlbear, which is great. Markson's still holding on over here, coming for a pit pretty quickly. Excellent. I'm going to flick you over to orange. The tires, I'm going to go to orange here because we're going to be soft. They'll warm up a lot faster. So we'll go orange, orange. We think we can probably do the rest of the race on orange for fuel. We might just run out here, but I think it stops calculating the fuel when you're in the pit lane like that properly. Big refueling. All right. excess fuel, except I believe that is going to be a lie. I think we're going to be pretty bang on with the fuel with no adjustments. And right, so you're coming out on the mediums, which is correct, and on orange, which is probably right for the wear. Okay, flip. We might be able to do some reds, but for now the orange is going to be okay. We got a lot of race to do. We don't know exactly where tire wear is going to end out because it does vary a lot with the form, which changes from lap to lap. So you're about to hit your lowest band on the mediums, but we want to keep pushing on the mediums for sure. I think our fuel strategy is still okay. Hopefully we can defend and just slow up the person at 13th over here. Since we got a pit coming, we're not too worried about exactly what position we're in, because it's going to toggle a little bit as we go, but just slowing up someone else is going to be pretty handy, and we certainly don't want to be slowed down by having them in front of us. We want to pitch for fresh tires, I know, but not yet. I'm going to drop you down to medium for a second here, because we were going to be a little tight with some of the fuel, I think. And this will guarantee that we should have enough. We may have to do a little conserve, but I am going to push for an extra lap here. We're far away from the cliff here. So, if we do a little check, exactly one left with yellow, that's going to be okay. And yeah, so the plan, we'll go through the lap changer over here just to make sure that the numbers are 100% updated. But 7 laps of fuel remaining. We're gonna put in 8, so we can run on high and a little bit of overtake actually. And we're gonna throw on these softs, which should hopefully be okay. But yeah, the refueling is the thing that takes the longest amount of time, but I think it's still worthwhile because the engine modes are good. 64% on the engines. I mean, we're definitely being aggressive with the engine usage, maybe a little more than we have before, but it's okay. Let me pop the low for a second here. Actually, if we do this and we get a roundup, we actually might get 2 laps of fuel added in sort of for free, which allows us to run overtake a lot. I don't know if our engine can take it, but right now there's no one challenging us for anything. Seems like a great time to do the conserve and see if we can get a rounding up in the pit. So we might end up with like 2 bonus laps of fuel, or I could tweak it. Hang on, coming up on the pit lane now, right? Oh no, not yet. Okay, coming up soon. Oh, I can't cancel the pit. You're already considering this entering the pits. Damn. I wanted to retweak the button here and recalculate our fuel situation. But I guess that's not going to be the case. Still, we might get a free roundup. I don't know. It says we're going to have 8 laps of fuel. So I think so. Oh no, that's already what we put in. So the question is more, is it going to tell us we have 9? It did go to 9 for a second, and then rounded back down to 8. So I guess it was close enough, so we're not getting that. Still, we only have 7 laps to go. Yeah, because you're about to hit lap 20 here for the number of upgrades. Yeah, so it's 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 laps. We have 8 laps of fuel. That means we can mostly run on high. We could do 1 or 2 laps on overtake, which is going to be lovely. The tires, we do want to probably not push them too much here. The yellows anyway. The mediums, we have to keep an eye on the temperature, but otherwise we're very happy to run this one a little bit more aggressively. Come on, Martin. Actually, let's... Right now, while you're in this little mess and being threatened as well, and you have some passing opportunities, although it's almost too much of a wall. I should have done it a little sooner. I'm a little bit worried that we're going to churn through your stuff a little bit too quick, but... Safety car is out. Well, there's nothing for us to... Well, that's not true. Martin could pit for softs. But he would definitely lose position, unless everyone around us also pits. We'd lose position. There's not much of the race left for us to overtake people. I think we're going to stay out. It is, as it turns out, important to go to double blues when the safety car is out, to stretch things out. I'm a little bit worried about temperature here on the elevator. That's actually a little disappointing, because she's losing her fastness. Although, hold on. Let's push up to neutral here, just to make sure you catch up. We'll still conserve the fuel, but I'm just doing this mostly to balance the temperature. This will help her tires from underheating, and she could use a little speed boost just to catch up to the sort of cue that's happening here. Well, let's wait until it says the in-lap. Because the car should start to back up. Tires underheated. Okay, yeah, so now they're just going to fry themselves. Bring it up. That's kind of annoying. Double crashes. Okay, you're heading to the garage. Now, safety car. Can I click on this? Excellent. It's fit here. So he's doing one more lap as is. And we have caught up. The only thing we do have to do is keep the tire temp up. Same thing here. Push. I'm trying to drop down to neutral, which is probably okay with the softs. I'm just looking for visual confirmation that we've gone, 1% above the bottom here. I'm assuming that the tire wear on the lowest is worse than tire wear we get from pushing here. I'm actually not 100% sure. So we want to keep an eye on the safety car. When it comes up to the pit, which is very close, which is right over here, I'm going to go and go to double red right now. Just to make sure I don't miss a second of possible acceleration. Martin's unfortunately only in 6th. Trying to overtake for 5th. Doesn't quite pull it off. Can't get past. They've been behind. Yeah, there's been a safety car, you idiots. This is how it works, man. I mean, everyone should be pretty aggressive. There's not that much race left. Well, actually, so 24, 5, 6. There's 3 laps left. We can't run on red the whole time. It's going to be pretty close. The tires, I definitely feel comfortable running red the entire time, though. Come on. Let's get past some hunks. Martin, come on. Don't even... Better not lose a position here. Come on, get in there. We'll definitely have to do some lap counting here. But I really want to stay in double red, at least for this pack. Come on! Pass like you're standing still over there. They are running softs. We start on softs, which is why Martin's in a good position. Right? Like, that's one of the reasons he's up there, but he's already spent his soft. So he's going to do less well here. Oh, there's a full runoff over there. Not used to seeing that. Wow. Yeah, so position goes up, which is great. Yeah, I'm going to have to drop the fuel down to high because that's going to be exactly the right amount. It says excess, but... Well, okay, so we are partway into this. So we have 1.8 laps to do. This will consume 2 laps of fuel, so we'll end at 0.2. We actually might be able to stick on overtake a little bit more. Let's do it. This pack continues to be a thing, although we don't seem to be able to actually get through it. Yeah, overtake's going to be fine, actually. A little further into this lap than I gave it credit for. I mean, we're not going to be able to finish on overtake, I don't think. You still have a little bit more, which is to be expected. Tire conditions are equal right now. Now the soft will continue to grade faster. And we do know that the soft will perform quite badly at the end, but I think the double red's still okay. So we can red a little longer, but really we're going to go down to high. Oh, rear wing damage. That's a little unfortunate. You can double red the rest of the time. Your conditions are okay. I might go down to... No. Screw it. Go attack. It's not like you're going to hit the wall. As long as you don't hit the wall, it's okay. Someone is having mechanical issues over there. The person right in front of Albert, which might be okay. I don't think we're going to be able to pass 5th, unfortunately. Just not going to happen. There's a second between us and Engelhart. And he's still, yeah, everyone's running in really aggressive modes because they can. Go back to overtake over here. It's going to be all right. It's excess fuel, but not by much. Coming up on the final stretch now, as long as we don't get past. Snuck in a new fastest time over there. Done with 0 fuel, with 0.2 fuel. P6, we are happy about that. I think our newfound knowledge of some of the internal mechanics of the game are helpful. I mean, I don't know. A lot of what we did here with the tire things and things, we would have done sort of anyway just by counting laps. But we have more context for some of our information now. I don't think I could have... Well, I clearly couldn't have done double softs. That wasn't possible. Would it have been running better to run, hard soft? No, I don't think so. Look at the winner. Stromby did do 2 soft stints. But he did 9 laps on his first set of softs, which would have been our extreme limit. We would have had to run on conserve basically the entire time. So he probably has a better chassis and maybe more smoothness as well so that he could pull that off. So yeah, with Martin, we only did 6 laps on a soft. But if you look here, Santa Ana, who came in second, because I don't know, did 2 stints on hards and then 5 laps on the soft, most of which was under a safety car, so it wasn't really that meaningful. So here too, Engelhart could do 6 on the soft, or 9 on the softs, and then 7 on the soft. But yeah, I don't think we really had the means to do it. You did 3 pit stops. That's interesting. I don't know why you wouldn't have come out on softs in the end. That seems pretty tragically bad. Hard, medium, soft over here. Yeah, I think given our chassis and our driver capabilities, I think that was pretty much as well as we could do with those tires. So we did meet the sponsor objective over here. Just barely didn't meet it with Albert, although overall, you know, the performances weren't too shabby. Looks like the end of the year here, Martin is going to end up 9th overall in the Drivers' Champion, and Albert at 12th. I mean, I think she was 10th for a while. Did drop a few things, but she didn't race one race because of the neck injury, and she had the neck injury on this one as well. 6th overall. Yeah, we weren't going to drop down to 7th after a while. Getting up above 5th, hitting 5th could have been possible. We would have to do a stupendously good performance and have Octane Racing do very badly. I want to watch those more going forward so that we can add a little bit more drama about direct and personal competitors going forward. Do we give like tackle hard instructions? You know, if you're having to be passing Octane Racing, just go ahead and rub some tires a little bit. Especially if you're already the person behind. Let's see. You know, knock off their front wing. Do something. All right, you came in 5th. Obviously, the chairman's going to be happy. The team marketability will go up as well. But again, it's the team marketability, which I think is currently sitting at 98%. Oh, no, it's at 100%. So you see, there's a good example. It's like we've capped out our team's marketability. So there's no change here, despite the fact that we did so well. Ooh, we got an unlock. Oh, all pit stop times are 1 second faster. So this will save 2 seconds over the course of a race. I don't think this counts for enough. Unfortunately. But stat increases, and yeah, Martin keeps statting up like much better. Even though, like, theoretically they have the same sort of overall star potentials, the Albert's just not gaining much. Maybe it's partially a positional thing. Maybe the better your final position, the better your stats grow. I don't know. Maybe there's maybe the rate at which people join or gain stats varies by age. You know, maybe the 19-year-old doesn't develop as much as 21-year-old. Maybe internally the drivers have like a peak age. So Martin might peak at like 24, and Albert might peak at like 28 or something like that. There may be some internal mechanics for that. That I don't know, and it might be an interesting thing to look at. Her form was like stupendously good in comparison. It's too bad she couldn't end a little bit better. She did start further back. Actually, where did she start on the grid? Did she start around there? She might have broken even in the end. That'd be another neat thing to track. All right, so that is the end of the season. Now, there are still some things you can do before it actually truly wraps up the season here. World Championship, so yeah, Stromby did win. And that is also, Eastwood Motorsports are also the constructions champion, or the team champions in this here. So, I mean, it makes sense. He won 1st overall. The other driver won 5th overall. That's a lot of points to earn. A bunch of prize money over there for them. Saving the game over here. So, now I'm going to do the thing that I did last time and say, please let me know, what do you think? Do we renew Martin's contract? Do we renew Sokolov's contract? I think the answer to both is going to be yes, but let me know. Yeah, no kidding, they lost a lot of a condition over here. That's because we ran those engines hard for a change. Real hard for a change. We'll do an interview here. Which ones of the drivers are better? So I think I'm not answering that. I don't think it has any real impact, or it might hurt marketability, actually. And since this doesn't actually offend the other driver, it's like, you can just pick someone you want to give extra morale to. It doesn't really make much of a difference. Pit crew review, dramatic race over there, and contract running down. Yeah, so that is Martin and Sokolov. We are going to want to take a look at their contracts. I will probably, between episodes, I'll take a look at some of these. Now, that's interesting. That is a lot of stamina, which is going to keep the mistake chance extremely low. I mean, you don't have the best sort of raw numbers here, but they're very manageable, actually. We are going to hire you. 92%. Really, though, the only thing he can do is do the front jack. Everything else is pretty unimpressive. Same thing with here, 91%. He's got the tire, but he doesn't pair it with refueling. We already know that refueling takes longer. Although, I don't think they do it simultaneously. I think they do the tires first and then refuel. I don't know if I'll get any of these. I mean, I'm certainly going to reject you and do. We might keep you in there for a little bit of a think. And that's just sort of going to be ready for next season, but I'm sure we're going to move, our assignments around at that point. The other thing is possible that we may want to consider replacing our mechanics as well. Some people have argued that the reliability and the performance bonus is nice, but maybe you should actually just focus on just getting the pit stop and concentration numbers as high as possible. I mean, what's nice about Fairley here is that he does have a fairly high pit stop number in comparison. He at least hits double digits. Whereas the thing is, Molina over here has really low pit stop and concentration numbers, and therefore may actually be hurting us a fair bit in the race. Might be one of the reasons the Owlbears have a harder time, because maybe everything changed when we swapped our mechanics, and she's just losing, an extra half second or second in the pit lanes, and that might be enough to like bring her down. Well, hold on, they've been together for, sorry. Rosa is paired with Martz, and they've been together for 43 weeks, so that's clearly not the issue. Okay, it could be that Mason, with 5 weeks together with Amina, may have been the issue. I don't know if the relationship does anything other than controlling these unlocks. And he does have the higher pit number. I mean, not stupendously higher, but it is there. Now, I think we will still get to squeeze in a little bit more improvement before the season actually cycles over. I'm going to try to maximize performance gains to try to carry that over to the next thing. We shall see. But other than that, we're going to wrap up this episode here. So it was much longer at 1 hour long because we had a lot of kind of stats and information to give out. I've got a bunch more there that we can talk about, like when there's some weather situations and what the situation is there. It's very interesting how some of that works. I mean, intuitively it more or less works the way you expect. But there is some, knowing the actual numbers could help out as well. But I guess we're going to have to wait until Season 4 for that. So yes, weigh in what you think about for the driver, designer, and potentially the mechanics. My plan with the money is still to upgrade our factory to level 3, which will let us do 6 parts at the same time and with more staff, so that all happens faster in terms of improvement of performance and reliability, which is going to be really useful. Because we know the most important thing at the start of the season, race 1 and 2, is getting that reliability up. And so being able to get a jump start on that is going to be good. I mean, we already have position 6th over here, well above average, so I don't know. Maybe we're all tied. Maybe everyone from 1st to 6th basically have exactly the same factory. That's probably what the situation is. And so if we jump up to factory 3, we might get a reliability advantage over other people, which would be kind of spiffy do. Anyway, thanks again for watching this series. As a reminder, don't get so cranky in the comments. Relax a little bit. Remember, I bulk record these as well, so that's part of the situation maybe. But also definitely some people who are not actually paying attention to when some of these issues get addressed. And of course, there's lots of mistakes that I make too. But so do you guys. Oh, poor Giacomotti down there at 0 points. That's our reserve, right? Yeah, right over here. So she's only been in 1 race, and she didn't get any points. So that kind of makes some sense. All right, folks. See you next time. Bye-bye.